Hey, how's it going? So we are going to be kind of picking up where we left off. Not this past stream, but the stream before. I was working on doing some Photoshop mockups for my portfolio. The last stream, the very last stream, I was actually working on the actual layout design for my portfolio book itself. So I'm putting together a book for my graphic design portfolio. And the last stream, I put together some very preliminary rough computer mock-ups of sort of like what a chapter opener would be, kind of introducing a new project. So that's for like the actual portfolio book itself. What I'm working on tonight is I'm taking one of my older projects, something that's going to be going into the portfolio, and then just mocking it up using a Photoshop mock-up to make it look like a real book. So this is a book that I did last fall, and I made the book and everything. I printed it out, and I'm going to be actually photographing some angles of the book. But for some of these like straight on shots here, I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about here. So this would be kind of like what a mock-up can do. And this is just a Photoshop file that has some smart layers attached to it, and I brought in my PDF files, dropped it in, and with a little bit of tweaking, I was able to make it look like a 3D version of my book. Granted, this isn't like any photography or anything that I did. This is just me using a file, or actually using several files to make a nice image like this. And I'm going to go through and do that pretty much for the whole book and try to knock that out tonight, because I want to show off pretty much every page of this book in my portfolio. But getting like a perfect shot like this with the real book with the camera, it would be hard to get it perfect once and then to replicate that exactly for every single page. Would be really kind of hard to make that look nice. So it's best practice just to use a mock-up for this sort of shot. If you can see, there's sort of these titles on the outside edges of this. For those of you that are new to this stream, my title is actually printed on the edges of the book, so something like that would be hard to do in a mock-up or to highlight that. So that's one of the shots that I want to do with the camera. There's also another page that uses a transparency sheet, so that's something that I'll need to photograph. Then there's just a couple other things too that a photograph would suit well for, but kind of for the main chunk of the book, it makes sense just to use the mock-up. So I have already done, this is actually a little bit different than what we're going to be doing. This one here. So this one here features a third page actually. So you get a 1-page, 2-page, and then the third page. And the second page is in the act of being turned. So this was an interesting page just to kind of have as sort of like a highlight or accent shot. But like if you imagine a spread in my portfolio book, which is going to be my actual portfolio, a spread might have, well, it's going to be like a total spreadception right here. What is that? I forget what the name of the movie. Inception. A spread inception sort of thing. Where there's so many spreads inside of a spread. So I might have 8 spreads per one spread in my portfolio. If you guys are on to the whole graphic design lingo, hopefully you're following along and that makes sense. Otherwise you guys are like, what's a spread? A spread is just a set of pages. So in a book, there's the left and the right hand side page. So instead of saying both the left hand and the right side page, you just refer to it as a spread. It's the spread of pages. And when you're designing, you design in spreads. You don't design by page, which is important because you have to treat the spread as its own composition. You can't have the left page doing its own thing while the right side saying something completely different, because then it's just not cohesive. And then you want the pages to communicate. You want it to be a very sort of cohesive, well thought out, well designed book. All right. So I've already done a couple. So in one of my previous streams, I did this one here, and I was able to do. This is what the end sheets of the book would look like. So the end sheets are just like, you open up the book, and then most people just use blank spreadsheets or blank end sheets, because that's what printers provide. Printers will say, hey, maybe we have maybe 6 6 is actually kind of a lot for depending on where you're getting printed. Maybe 6 different varieties of end sheets. Do you want black? Do you want dark gray? Do you want brown? Do you want white? Do you want darker black? The idea for this one here, since I printed it myself, I was able to choose and actually did a custom designed one. But all it is just a really kind of like you're opening the book. You're not ready for content yet. You just want to open the book and have something to look at. It's a nice little decorative detail. And then, so you got the end sheets there, and then the left-hand side here is another end sheet, and then that's the title page. It reflects what the title or the cover of this book looks like. And then I got as far as the next spread, which was just the copyright information. Granted, this was a school project, so the copyright information is just kind of bogus. I mean, this is something that I did, so I would hope that nobody like steals this from me. I have my own copyright on it, but for the purposes of this project, I came up with this book was being published by AIGA, so I attributed the copyright to them, which they really don't have any sort of power over this, just because it was a fictitious copyright blurb for AIGA. Same thing with the ISBN number. That doesn't exist. That's not a real ISBN number. And just the copyright or the and then the dedication. I like dedicated it to my parents, my fiance, or at the time this was my girlfriend. She's now my fiance, and then my instructor, just because I wouldn't have been able to do this project without her guidance. Okay, now that I feel like the introduction is done, do I need to give an introduction every single time? I feel like it makes sense. But for the people that are watching these videos, kind of like rewinding and watching them back, they probably have been following the sort of series on this, but I'm thinking kind of for the people that come in new. But at the same time, if you're coming in new, you're probably not able to rewind back and listen to this if you're just joining in now. But okay, anyways. So I think we will just kind of get going. It's going to be a very, forewarning, it's going to be a kind of a very repetitive process, but hopefully I can kind of keep it a little entertaining, and it's mainly just going to be you guys kind of just watching me work. So I will just kind of get into it. So I got a PDF document that I'm working from. It's the one that I designed, and I'm just going to be the process. You'll kind of see the process. So I'm just going to kind of copy this one here now. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. I've had a long day of doing stuff and getting burnt out, so I was kind of hoping that this would give me a second wind. So, alright, so what I do is I copy this group, and it's got everything in it, so I'm going to rename that new group, and then I'm going to go to that other group, and since I'm using smart layers, I'm just going to go ahead and rasterize these smart layers on those last groups. That way when I update the pages, these layers here will not be updated as well, because then I would have done all this work, and I get back to look at all my little groups here, and they will all have the same spread on them. Alright, so now we got that. Let's do our left side page here. And I'm just going to bring in my PDF. And we'll choose which page we want. So you can see we're on number 4 out of 30. Okay. So we got some work to do. If this goes on for too long, or if people aren't kind of really joining in, then I might just cut it short. The idea was just for me to kind of to be completely honest, like 100 transparent with you guys. I've been having like a kind of a lack of motivation today, and I was hoping by streaming I can kind of kick myself in the butt to get this done, but yeah, I've just been and my computer's been so slow. I don't know what the deal is. I've tried restarting it. I've tried updating. I think it was ever since I updated actually that made it slow. I just did this app store update. It was just like a small security little update, so I didn't think it was gonna be that big of a deal. I'm just convinced that you should never update an Apple product. With that whole performance thing that they were having with the iPhones, It just kind of makes me wonder if they're doing the same thing with desktops. And I love Apple products. Apple products are great, but it's just, if you're going to spend $2,000 on a computer, let it last for more than a couple years. Please. People ain't got that type of money. Did I get that perfectly on the guide? So the reason why there's this white gap at the bottom is because this mock-up, when I got it, it was actually too tall for my book. So I already did the sort of very meticulous moving and transforming on the main mock-up itself, but on these smart layers, I was able to figure out where I could put my design and still have it match up. So that's why this is here. I'm sure there's a way that I can just update these smart layers to be the right size, but I didn't take the time to do that. It was just easier to put a grid line in here somewhere. So when I go to, this project is actually on display at my school right now. So I just emailed my instructor that I had for this class last semester, and I let her know that I wanted to photograph it because it's actually on display at the school right now, and so I need to like make sure that the instructor can take it out of the display case, and so I can come pick it up next week. All right, here we go. That looks good. So you'll notice, okay, so this is the part that's going to be kind of repetitive. Trying to think how I kind of want to do this. Okay, so I think I've already done a couple pages. So since I have this title printed on the side, I need to make sure that when I kind of move this with it. And I just noticed that I moved the shadow layer up a little bit, just because it was messing up on the bottom. But I just noticed it's coming up off the top a little bit. So, okay, that fixed it. Okay, so that's still going to be fine there. I'll have to remember to go back and update all the shadows on the other pages. So, okay, so now what I need to do with these page titles is to just move them ever so slightly like that, so that way it gets updated. Because the title of the book is actually printed on the edge of the pages. There's about 1/4 of an inch on every single page that has a section of the word, but once all the pages stack up and you bend them one way, then you can actually read the title. I thought it was really cool. And then the funny thing is that I had saw this method in a Sagmeister book, and I had tried to do it myself for the very first time, and I just kind of like winged it, and in my head I was thinking, okay, maybe if I do this then it'll work. Talk about creative problem solving, because I was able to do this, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I was able to do this first try, and I was like super excited. I did a little print mock-up too to make sure that it worked, and it actually turned out mirrored. It was like backwards, and if like I took it to a mirror to look at it, it was right. And I sat there for maybe like half an hour just trying to figure out what I did wrong, because everything on the computer I did right. It made sense in my head, and I just realized I stacked the pages up backwards. So instead of having like 1 through 30, I did 30 through 1, and you could still tell it was a word. Like I said, you could read it in a mirror. But reading it the normal way, it was backwards. But then all I had to do was just restack the pages back the other way around, and it fixed it. And I'm like, stupid mistake. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to, how do I do this? Did I get rid of it by accident? I think I did. Okay, hold on. Shoot. I've been saving too. Okay, so okay. Let's see if I can do this here. I need to add, so I've got, since this is the front of the book, right? I've only got the other pages on the right hand side, but since I'm kind of getting into more pages now, I need to bring that to the other side so that way it looks like that there's more pages on the other side. And I messed that up. So I'm hoping that I can just flip this. That's not what wrong layer. I'm not in the right layer. I had another layer down here that didn't have that, or that had it the way that it was supposed to be, and I accidentally deleted it because I didn't think I needed it. Turns out I needed it. Am I doing this right? I think I just moved it. Actually. Oh. I am so smart. Okay, so I'm going to peek it out a little bit. I'm not going to peek it out all the way. Just because I have not gotten that far in the book yet. So then what I need to do is I need to bring in this title left thing. Sorry. Getting text messages. I have it over here thinking that but I forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb. That was my fiance talking to me. Alright, so this one here is on multiply at 90%. Multiply 90%. So now it's just a matter of getting this line, and then, like on the other one, once I kind of get it to where I need it to be, it'll be very easy to just kind of get it to just kind of scoot it over a few inches every now and then. So I can just move this over so that way it aligns with this page. And then I should be good to go. So that there. Maybe this one here needs to come down a little bit. And it doesn't really matter too much if it doesn't line up perfectly, because pages move, paper moves, it doesn't line up 100% every single time. Yeah, that looks good. Now I want to get the lighting right, so that way the lighting looks similar. I'm gonna have to remember to do this because I had the lighting masked. Yeah, I had the lighting layer masked so that way it only covered the pages. That's a little bit better. I don't like how this is like a completely different black. Because they should all be the same black. I'm going to write a little note here to myself so that way I remember to change all the blacks to 95%. Because I had it at 90 before. And it makes a difference. Cool. Alright. Look at all these little post-its that I got. Aren't these fun? I use post-its for everything. If I have an idea, post it. And then part of that comes because I forget things, so I have them kind of everywhere on my desk. But then also if I'm doing like just sketches or something and I have a cool idea, I will I'll move the actual, or what am I trying to say here, guys? I write down on a post-it so that way I'm not like actually writing on my sketches because I'm like OCD like that. So I'll I'll just have like all these post-its like all over my sketches or like all over the back, just so that way I can take them all off and then just have the raw sketch with no little writings around it. Why is this one overlay? Where's linear burn? Why is it on linear burn? Linear, where is the linear burn? What is the other page on? It's on the same thing. Fill? What the fuck? How do they have these pages set up? I'm so confused on how they have these files set up. Why is it, I don't like how this is like a gray. Did this happen on other pages? Guess I wasn't noticing it before just because it was on the other side. I thought it was just the whole thing. I don't like how that, I mean, if it did that for the end sheets too, then that would be fine. Not the end sheets, you know what I'm saying, the other pages here. But these ones here are so much darker. Well, let's put these back, because I feel like they had a reason why this was on linear burn and for a fill of 80%. It's kind of an odd way to do it. I never use fill for anything. So I don't know what that's for. I thought it was like a stupid thing to say too, because I feel like that's a very critical part for what. I'm gonna have to look it up to see what you use fill for, because I never use it. I just use opacity. Okay. So those are the other pages here. If I get rid of this, what is over here? There's like a little bit of a grain on top of everything, and the grain is a great way to kind of unify things together. But it doesn't bother me over here. It's like fine over there. Alright, so now we got that. Now we just need to make this a little bit brighter. I'm just trying to make it match this lighting. Not negative. Why are you being so slow, Photoshop? Not 50. Oh my god. This has been bothering me all day. It's driving me nuts. Way to go nuts. Holy crap. What the hell's wrong with Photoshop? Colorize. Oh my goodness. This is driving. Oh my gosh, I don't know what the deal is. I know this is a big file and everything, but I've been able to do this before. Is there a way to like go back on updates? This update is completely screwing up my computer. There's like a little hint. Why is it going back and... Holy crap. There was like a very small hint of blue in here, so I was going to add a little bit of blue. And now hue and saturation is just completely screwing me over. Cancel! Make up your mind, go away. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna come back when this is done. This is like, what is going on? I don't know what the deal is. I had like a footrest down there that kept moving, so I just decided to get rid of it. Well, I don't know what to do. Screw this shit. Goodbye. Let's try that again. I have like very low patience for that type of crap. Got a lot to do and don't have time for this BS. Anyways, how's your guys' day going? It's like getting all hot and stuff now and flustered. That better have saved. God, if we're not back to where we were. Okay. It looks so stupid with it just being black. Is this gonna do something? Okay. So we knew that. We made that dark now, so now that's... Actually, we can go back and make it a little lighter. Did that update? Did that go to kind of how we wanted it to go? Why is it minus now? It's kind of hard to tell without the noise. Let me add that real quick. I didn't even save a filter. 98. Okay, so now we just gotta go back to like what was it, like 5? I think 5 is too much. 3. 2. 2 looks good. Why don't I just do this? No, we're on to something now. God, the things I do for the small little perfect, pixel perfect things. Because this, in reality, is going to be like a very small portion of the book. Like maybe, actually, depending on how I decide to use this, but for the most of these are going to be like 2 inches wide, and you're not going to be able to notice this stuff. Left BG. So now I think if I put this underneath, and then this one here is on top, and instead of being multiply, it goes to screen. Screen at 80% looks really good. Now we just gotta get the proportions right. I think that we're good. That looks good to me. Sweet. Alright, so after a little bit of trial and error, we are able to finish this spread. And, I mean, got a little frustrated there for a little bit, but that was just because I don't mind trying to solve things like this in Photoshop. It's fine. I mean, trying to figure out using the gradients and adding a little bit of noise. That's fun. I think that's fun. It's when it, Photoshop freezes up and it's, for no reason being slow, then that kind of stresses me out a little bit. Sorry, I just got a little message over here. Alright, so cool. We got table of contents done. Awesome. Next up, and then just kind of for the sake of my own sanity, I'm going to leave this much of paper. I mean, obviously, each little page you turn, right? A little bit more paper, a little bit more paper, and the stack gets bigger. I'm just going to leave it like that for now, just because I don't want to have to deal with it anymore. I'm going to keep that like that for maybe the next 5 pages, at least. Maybe more. Cool beans. Okay. So we will make a copy of this guy here. Cool, we got that. Oh my god, I'm going to be yawning this whole night, so just kind of deal with it. I have to go make coffee in a little bit. Rasterize layer. Rasterize layer. If you guys haven't utilized Photoshop mockups yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. They are so awesome. And especially if you're doing work for a client or something like that, you need to be using mockups. Because, I mean, I've noticed just in my own work, I've sent over work before not in a mockup, and I've always had to do more revisions then, whereas if I buy a mockup or just use some of the free ones out there, and include that in my sort of presentation deck, then people will more often than not go and ask for revisions, or it will be a lot less, because when you see something in a mock-up form, that makes you think kind of subconsciously that it's real. It's not like a working file that you're waiting to update or make changes to. It's like, oh, it's already printed, or this is what it looks like final. I mean, that's got to be it. So that's my thinking. That's why I like mock-ups. They are super nice to use, and like one of the projects that I recently actually had to buy one for, the budget for the project was $1,000, and I bought the mock-up for like $50, which was still, wait, no, that was something else. I bought the mock-up for $5. I actually spent some money on stock photography as well. That was the $50, but the mock-up was just $5. And if you can't afford to spend $5 to kind of save some time and not like risk having to do a whole bunch of revisions, then that's great. And it's not like a way to kind of like deceive your client or anything. Like, obviously, if you're submitting something to them, it should be good enough to go in the real world and actually be put into production. So don't be just doing this on crap designs where you're like, oh, this isn't really how I thought it should look, and I'm just gonna throw it on a mock-up so that way it looks better. That's not what the mock-up's for. The mock-up is so that way you can have a nice design look even better. Like this book here, I worked really hard on this book. This book was a 15-week project, and the reason I'm putting it into mock-up form is just to kind of make it look nicer, especially for my portfolio. For my portfolio, I don't want to just be putting flat 2D images on a spread and then just calling it good. This is my book, because that's an opportunity wasted. This is an opportunity to really highlight, and I mean, if you think about it, you put all this work into making some cool designs, and if you cut short at the presentation, that's like do or die time. If you're gonna cut it short then what's the point of even putting all that work in? Kind of ties back into the whole damn, this looks good. I wasn't too much of a fan of this sort of lighting here. It feels a little shinier than I would like, but I'm okay with it. I'm dealing with it, so we'll just kind of see. Why is that such a huge jump? Was it like that on the last spread? I think I would have noticed if it was. No? Oh, it was just right at that cusp, I think. Okay, so what is that? That is this. This is chapter opener. Chapter 1. My naming convention on these layers could be a little bit better. I am just sort of winging it. Makes sense to me, and that's all that really matters, because it's not like this is going to be a file sent to other people. It's just going to be for my own personal usage. So, okay, so now what I need to do is I need to just move this guy up here. Oh my god, see, I told you I'm yawning, and I'm not like trying to be like rude or anything. It's just, man, you do design for so long, and I've noticed myself, I'm like, this is a good and bad thing also. I've been like really loving designing lately. I'm just so excited, and I think part of it has to do with the fact that I'm streaming, and then also another part of it has to do with the fact that I'm just like so close to graduation that I'm like, I can see the finish line, and it's just, man, I just wish I was there, and I'm just excited to kind of just be working on my projects at this point. Anyways, long story short, I've been getting like a lot less sleep just because I stay up late streaming and gotta get up early for work. I do design for work also. So, yeah. Oh, very busy guy. And I didn't get a whole lot of sleep either, because I was up late last night. Anywho, this is probably really boring. I told you guys it was gonna be a boring stream, so hopefully you guys aren't hating me if you guys have stuck around this long anyways. This is just very much a work session that I am sharing with the internet. And yeah, so that's kind of that. If you guys are wondering what this text says, the title of the book is called Perception Deception. So this side says perception, this side here says deception. So that way when you I don't have a book here, what, like when you fan out the side of the book and you like bend the pages, it says perception, but when you bend them the other way, then it says deception. Really cool thing. Hopefully you guys can kind of get how that works. But like, look, I'm already done with this one. So now I'm just gonna copy this one, and I'll keep on working my way up this this page count here. And we can't forget to go back and rasterize all these. This is a catchy song. I'm gonna thumbs this one up. Thumb this one up. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up. That sounds right. The other one doesn't. Not that it sounded like weird or anything. It just didn't sound like it was the right way to say that. Anyways, it's not like if I go back to this one, chapter opener 1, that one's gonna be the same. Table of contents. See, it's the table of contents. And the reason why I'm rasterizing these layers is because I'm working with smart layers, and if I change the smart layer, then it's going to change it on every single group that I got. I could just be flattening all these groups, but I want the opportunity to, or not the opportunity, but the option to change this background if I need it, or if I wanted to go on a transparent background, all I got to do is just go back here, or it's actually a different layer. All I got to do is just go here, and then turn off the background. And then I can also get rid of the shadow too. The shadow is a little bit odd how they have the shadow set up, but whatever. I'm working with it. The shadow works well on a solid background. I'll probably have to end up recreating the shadow if I want to have the shadow transparent. Because like, look, if I do a white background here, so this is like, imagine this being in my book. Oh, actually the white background works perfectly. But yeah, I mean, actually, I don't know if I would have these. Like, if there was a lot of them, the shadow would probably be too much. So that's what it looks like without the shadow. Maybe I would have a smaller shadow, not that much shadow. This is just me brainstorming. But for now, we're keeping this background. Load. Okay, there we go. See what I mean, guys? Photoshop is out to get me. Photoshop is by far my favorite program to use, and it is screwing me over tonight. I actually did almost every, like, this is like before art school, before anything like that. I would do everything in Photoshop to the point where it was like I took a computer graphics class in high school, and my instructor had to tell me, she's like, Jonathan, you gotta start using some other programs, because I mean, like, this is kind of a weird nickname to have, but my nickname was like the King of Photoshop, just because we would have like class lessons specifically designed to teach us how to use like Illustrator and things like that. But I was doing like YouTube channel background, so I had Photoshop down pat. And I was like, you know, I like Photoshop. I mean, I can just throw up the resolution and it will have some crisp type. I mean, that was always the worry, was that you would be creating all this really nice artwork, and then if you needed to scale it up or down, and it wouldn't do that because it was like pixel. Oh, okay, maybe I need to go get coffee soon because I'm getting tired. So I'm gonna finish this one up here, and then I'm gonna start a new spread, and then while I am right after I finish this one up here, I'm gonna go run, make myself a cup of coffee, and I will be back after that. But I want to finish this one first. Please. I pressed enter. Why didn't it work that time? I really like the typography on this page. It looked good. It looks good. It does look good. It always will look good, right? My computer normally isn't this slow with Photoshop. If you guys are kind of wondering why it's so slow, maybe because I'm streaming, and then maybe because this is a 7,000 pixel wide document. I don't know why it was 7,000 pixels, and I realized that after I started doing all this stuff. I just decided to stick with it. Figured I could deal with a slow computer for a little bit rather than needing a bigger file a few months or a few weeks down the road here. Okay, so what's the dealio here? What do I need to do with this? Ideally, I just need to be able to move it like all a quarter inch, because that's all it is, right? Now I'm getting a little spinning wheel death here. Come on, spinning wheel. You are getting between me and my coffee. Why does it have to load every time I click move? I could have cut it down to like 4,000 pixels or something. Maybe that would have helped a little bit. I mean, I'm just confused because I'm like, why does... I didn't even do R, I did T. Like, it's slow for some things, and then it's like not for other things, and it's just very confusing. Look, how did he get over that far? This is looking good kind of in this range, and I'm gonna have to zoom in and get it perfect. Did that help at all? I don't think that helped. Whatever, that works for me. Okay, so... and that one in here still needs to be done. Cool. Okay, so that one's done. So let me get the other I'm just gonna do page numbers at this point. 10, 11. Nope, wrong one. I need to do it on the other one here. So then this one here will be 12, 13. Actually, it looks like that we're coming up around the 1 hour mark, so I think it might actually just end up cutting the stream off here because it is getting kind of repetitive and there's not that many people in the chat at this point. So I think I'm just going to end up just cutting it off here, and then probably sometime tomorrow I will be doing some layout design for the actual portfolio book again. So kind of flip-flopping between putting my projects into mockups like this and then actually putting them into a layout form for my book. So the book thing is actually a little bit more important for this week. This is sort of mockup work was just kind of keeping me busy. So Anywho's, thanks again for joining the stream. Like I said, I'll be here tomorrow. Fingers crossed. If they I'm getting all excited to eat coffee now. Check out my Twitter if you guys want to just follow me on Twitter. I will be posting if I'm going live tomorrow. The plan right now is to go live tomorrow at some point. I'm not 100% sure if I will be or not, though. But keep an eye out on Twitter. If I post I'm going live on Twitter, then I'll obviously be online here. Or you can just go ahead and actually follow me here, and then get some notifications that way, because it's always nice to kind of be able to join in kind of right away when the stream is on, because that's kind of when I do my whole little introduction thing. That's when I have this screen here. And then I just kind of talk about like the project and what I'm planning on doing. So if you don't want to miss out on that, sign up for the notifications. I have a little starting stream loading thing for a few minutes at the beginning of the stream, so probably anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes. I have that up just to give people some time to kind of collect into the stream. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited to kind of continue on with this project, and hopefully I have some cool things coming up for the actual portfolio book, because that's kind of something that I really want to document on Twitch. So I need to do some sketches actually first before I kind of bring it to Twitch, because I need to sort of revise things. If you guys kind of see in the background on my bed, I have all my sort of layouts that I did this past stream. I had them printed out and everything, so this is kind of what I mean. So like this over here, this is like the mock-up that I was kind of like working on. This is for a different project obviously, but this sort of mock-up would just live within a spread like this, and then what I need to do is I need to design the rest of the spread. So anyways, this was just kind of some of the ideas that I had. I need to kind of push a little bit more outside of the box though, because that was kind of one of my critiques, was that I was like playing it safe, and I need to kind of just push my limits a little bit and kind of do something a little bit not so predictable, because I mean, if you kind of saw the design, it's a very nice design. It's just something that it should be a little bit more kind of unexpected for somebody graduating with a portfolio. Anyways, totally rambling on just to tell you guys that I'm getting offline. But thanks for watching this. If you guys watch this later, if anybody stopped by the stream live, thank you guys for coming also, and I will see you guys on the next stream.